So what would be your best advice for the Danish MFA and Prime Minister in handling Donald Trump?
A broad range of questions.
Yes. I'm just writing this down. As I said, it was a long night last night, so I want to make sure I don't forget. First of all, on Venezuela, while I appreciate that both Greenland and Venezuela are in the same hemisphere, Venezuela is a very different situation, I think. The president used as his motivation to go into Venezuela the fact that there was an indictment against Nicolas Maduro and his wife for their activity with drugs, with with terrorist organizations, with cartels in Latin America. And he also was an illegitimate president in Venezuela because, as I'm sure all of you followed his election, the last election in Venezuela, where he was overwhelmingly defeated by the Venezuelan people, and yet he refused to step aside because of that. So I think it's a very different situation because Greenland, as the Greenland Prime Minister Nielsen just told us, not just shares our values, but it also, the people of Greenland want to make sure that they determine their own futures, and they have elections, they are self-governing. So I think it's a different situation. Now, you ask about the Trump focus on Greenland. You know, part of me is not sure how much of this is a distraction to try and take the attention of the American people away from some very real issues that we have in the United States right now. The cost of living is a real concern for Americans. Donald Trump got elected saying he was going to address the cost of living, he was going to address domestic issues, he was going to end forever wars, and he's not done any of that. So people are frustrated with him. Also, as you may have followed the Epstein files, the pedophile in the U.S., who it's been quite an issue, particularly in the Republican Party and among Donald Trump's followers. And, you know, Trump is a master of having a problem over here and saying, oh no, don't pay attention to this problem, look over here at this shiny object that I want people to focus on. And so I don't know, who knows it's hard to know what Donald Trump's real motivation is. But I do think there is some of that going on in terms of the focus on Greenland. There's also the suggestion among some that he wants to be a president who expands the territory of the United States. Well, I think nobody in the United States, and certainly nobody in Greenland or Denmark, think that willingly giving over a sovereign nation to the United States is something that is in the interest of any of those three countries. So I think, to the Venezuela point, this is a really different situation. On Secretary General Rutte's role in this, what I'm hearing is that he's been working behind the scenes. As you know, a number of NATO countries are doing exercises in Greenland now and sending troops in. I think he's had a role in helping to make that happen. And certainly he helped to negotiate the 5% increase in GDP among NATO countries in a way that I think has strengthened NATO. So far I've been a fan of Secretary General Rutte. I think he's doing a good job. And as I said, as part of the Senate NATO Observer Group, we have been to the last 5 NATO summits, and I have only seen NATO get stronger. That, for me, is one reason I'm so troubled by the president's rhetoric, because I think it does undermine that trust, as I said in my remarks, that is required for that kind of a military alliance.
Very good. I I think that there was a sense in the Danish media after the meeting